All right, everyone. Just let the intro play. Let's get everything ready. Let's let people, if anyone wants to log in, like I said, this is all about the info. So let me cut this intro short so we're on time. Yep, it is 10 now, so I can now speed up that. So let us now go to, and then this, voila. Stop share. Hey, all right. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the Black Betterment broadcast. Today's topic: can group economics help Black people achieve betterment? And we're very lucky today. We have two fantastic guests. Dean Okai and Brother BaNe. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves and just say your piece. So welcome all.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Evening.
Shall I go first?
Yeah, please do.
God bless. So I'm Dean Okai, Senior, the founder of AdPack. That's adpack.net. You can reach us through the website. First thing I want to do is just really big up Rap Raven for his consistency and the concepts that he's bringing forward. I love the 4Ds of discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. And as an institution, AdPack will be adopting those 4Ds, and they will apply across all of the areas, be it economics, education, health, justice, politics, and media, because they're consistent values that we can rely on as a people. And our first initiative out the box is the Managed Leadership Training. That's a 6-week boot camp for young men between 16 and 25. And we'll also be adopting the 4Ds onto that management curriculum and operating under our code, which has 10 tenets. But those 4 values will inform the 10 tenets that the Managed Leadership curriculum has. So just very quickly, that program for leadership is for 20 young men to become an alumni on a structured leadership course so that we operate from the same code. And what that does is negate all of these limited concepts like trust, because if we can rely on the code and the similar training, we can rely on brothers in our alumni, 1, to say yes, and 2, to play their part based on their skill sets. So thank you for the opportunity to be on the show.
I'm Brother BaNe. I am a graphic designer, primarily doing graphic design, animation. I work on websites. I work with quite a few nonprofits, trying to help bring in technological solutions to companies and organizations that need it, basically. That's what I do. That's what I'm interested in. Black betterment, group economics, and all that. Big up to Brother Raven for inviting me onto the platform, and definitely big up to Brother Dean Okai, because he's out there doing his thing, and yeah, it's good stuff.
Thank you, family. Thank you. So what I'm going to do now, I always start the show with the purpose and stuff. So just take 2 minutes to do this, then we're going to go into the direction you guys want to go. So right now I'm going to share my screen. Let's make sure I got that, and we go to application. There we go. So right now, Black Betterment third show, and after much research, I have unfortunately concluded that currently Black people are collectively inadequate. Okay, and this is this is something that is hard to hear, but it's something that I feel is the drive for what I do. And right now, because of this reality that we can always debate at any time, there has to be something that's pointing us into a form of betterment, and right now, in order to help do that, we've come up with, like Brother Okai said, the 4D values. All right. So hopefully, when we're trying to achieve betterment, something I'm pushing is we can practice dedication, dignity, and discernment. Okay. So because of that, let's quick introduction. Black economics. Economics is a social science that studies how people interact with scarce resources, in particular production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. And there's other ideas of what that might be, but that's just a starting base. Now, let me go back to the fantastic guests. There we go, like so. and stop sharing. So now, guys, how the format is going to be week to week. We're going to try to always have 1 or 2 guests, preferably 2. The guests will start with their particular thing they should talk about, give a spiel, give a nice explanation, and then we can get a nice three-way talk. And then when everyone's had their turn to present what they want to talk about, we can open up to the actual messages in the board or invite people on to see if they want to ask direct questions. And that way people who come in live can actually steer where the actual show goes, the program goes. So it's always choice here, brother. Which one of you brothers would like to open? Brother Dean and Brother BaNe?
Please, Brother BaNe, go ahead.
I would, I'm not too fond of following Brother Dean. I think that's going to be a hard act to follow. So let me just go and say, so, I mean, what it is, like when, obviously I heard last week's show, and when Brother Raven invited me to speak, I was sort of playing around with a few concepts in my mind and really trying to solidify what it is I was trying to say and what I was thinking of. And I sort of started in one direction, had a few conversations, and it started to move in a different direction. So I'll just, hopefully it doesn't come out too much as a stream of consciousness, but we'll see how it goes. So initially, what I was looking at, all right, if you take Black demographics, you look at, like for Lambeth, for example, in 2016, it's got an overall population of around 327,000 people. Out of this amount of people, 20% identify as Black Caribbean, Black African, or Black Arab. So say you manage to find around 4% of like-minded individuals to follow you on your journey. That's around 3,000 people. So one of the things you often hear, in fact, it's already come up in the discussion, is people, the issue of trust. And when it comes to money and investing, like where's the money going, who's it being spent by, and all this kind of thing. Even though you get European organizations like Oxfam running off the hate and doing all kinds of madness, but still we're ready to hand our money over and no one's asking the same kind of questions. But like things like this can be alleviated with transparency, contracts, clear mandate, and all those kind of things to make people feel more comfortable with exactly what's going on. So you got these 3,000 people. They agreed to give you £10 a month for 1 year, for argument's sake. So that's 30k a month. You got 360 grand at the end of the year. Boom, plan done. You got your education program. You got this, that, and the rest of it. That's all great. But then I sort of, all right, I'm no genius. Obviously, someone else must have thought of that idea. So the question started turning in my mind as to, all right, if it's that simple, why are these things not already in place? Why is it not already happening? Or if it does happen, why are these things not lasting? So then I was just like, okay, I need to think a bit deeper on that, because the maths is easy, but obviously there's something that's not going on and not working. And funny enough, it wasn't till I had a conversation with my uncle yesterday, big up Uncle, and we had a little back and forth, because I was just trying to solidify what was going on in my head, because this is the kind of blueprint that can be applied to any area with a high demographic of Black people. So why is it not really happening? So it sort of came to my understanding that the only way for institutions that we create to truly survive is they have to be based in culture. We need like a Black cultural revolution, and out of that, true and long-lasting institutions can be born. Because people always look and say, like, all right, look at this culture, look at that culture. We don't have these things. And we're looking towards others to say, well, why don't we have things like this? And when you look at them, 99% of the time, these things are cultural organizations, and it's the people that unify around their culture and their cultural norms. If you look at some of the institutions that tend to be like intergenerational in the Black community, they tend to be of a religious nature, shall we say. So, and I know like religion is a sensitive subject for Black people that you have to be careful on. And when I talk about religion and what I'm going to say, I'm not really talking about it from an individual faith. You know what I mean? People's personal faith is what they believe. You want to be Christian, Muslim, that's down to you. Because I know Christians and Muslims that they're more Black than anyone. Black. So when I talk about it, I'm talking more structurally and institutionally. And when I look at it from when I was growing up, the only issue that I saw with regards to church, and I'll talk about that because that's what I know, is you have a church, 99.9% black people give money, like 10% of their tithe wage goes a month. That's going to the church, larger regional conference, and so on and so forth. But then I'm seeing the condition of black people in the community, and largely I'm not seeing that sort of change. The only thing that I would say where sometimes there can be a difference is if you look at like the mosques, sometimes along with the mosque, you'll get the the Islamic Cultural Center. And what's that for? That function is to educate the youth in the cultural traditions of Islam. So then I start thinking, okay, so if they've got that, even though we're sort of still in religion, but when I'm talking about institutions, these are the easiest places that I've got to look. If you take something now like Rastafarianism, it still has its roots and its basis in Christianity. And there are some Rastas are hardcore. They'll quote you Bible scripture harder than some Christians. But the difference between that, I find, and some others is it's the Rastafarian liberty. It's Rasta liberty, unity, black upliftment. These are core tenets. So that although it's religious in its nature, it's more of a way of life. It's not all right, I'm going to take my Rastafarianism, go there on a Saturday or a Sunday, boom, and now I'm living my European life for the rest of the week. No, it's there when they walk. It's in the music, art, politics, health, everywhere. Ital is vital. Veganism before it was popular by the West. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's a movement that's not going to die. Even without clear leadership, it's something that just permeates and spreads without anyone trying to spread it. No one's trying to force it. And like when if you take I think it was Dr. Ben Yarkin or Jen Henry Clark said that the religion is the deification of a people's culture. Now, Christianity, you'd say, is controlled by the Europeans. Islam in UK is largely Pakistani control. So the culture and the religion go hand in hand. We need to deify the African culture, African spiritualism, and that lifestyle. If a group of people are committed to the culture, if a person or an institution fails, is a bad news story, or bad TikTok video come out, that's it. Your movement's done, your institution's done, and people are like, oh well, I'm not putting my money there anymore, and it's failed, and you have to move on from that. But if it's attached to a culture, that kind of thing is harder to shake. So and I'm not saying everyone needs to grow dreads and turn Rasta, but if you look at what works and why it works, why it permeates, and the group without real central leadership, and why in particular the youth are attracted to it, and it's largely in part due to messaging, the music, the sense of community, and the sense of belonging. It's that sort of cultural revolutions in the minds of people over here that people are governed by the culture at the end of the day. The more we allow the media and that which we don't control to dictate what aspects of our culture are acceptable, the worse and more extreme our problem will become. And our children need to be able to grow up in it. They need to be molded by it. They need to be shaped by it, so that the concept of black betterment, black upliftment, group economics isn't an alien concept. It's just what everybody else is doing. It's a natural evolution, and from that you create ties and links to other diasporic communities over the world and globe in Africa. You're thinking about investing, controlling the means of production, investing in raw materials, buying land, creating those links so we can enrich ourselves. We've got a lot of intellectual and financial capital over here, which can be exported, expounded to create those links. But if we're not doing it, not saying we can't take over the UK and make it our own, but we can establish bases here with links all over the world. We're a diasporic people, so we can do that. And if we're only thinking of solving the problems of now and today, it's not going to work. If we're not thinking 7 generations deep, we're not really thinking at all. When the rich and the wealthy die, from they part of their estate, obviously it goes to their family and all that kind of thing, but they're leaving a certain amount of money to institutions, so these things can go on and continue in perpetuity. Like, we have to understand that stands right now we're super consumers, and every other community benefits from us being in the state that we're in right now, with proper culture and norms in place. I mean, what if we are a cultural people and our we're solid in that fact. You think another community can come open a shop in your community selling products that only you use, that they don't use, and have you come in and buying stuff from it? It would work. Go down Green Street, open up a sari shop, and see how far you get. Their culture will not allow you to succeed. So, you know, it doesn't matter what your price point is, doesn't matter how blinging the shop is. It's just not going to work. But you know, without culture, it's difficult for these things to succeed. But sometimes, not saying without the culture you can't set up nothing. You start institutions because sometimes people need to see something in action, something working that they can get around. But if the thing is not drenched in culture, it's going to be a problem. And at the moment, you've got like everyone's jumping on the BLM movement because there's a thirst for something. They don't know what it is, but if without any leadership or organization behind it, and for it to mean more than a message, I don't believe it'll work. I mean, all right, and don't take this out of context, but even if you're looking at crime, right, you think, right, you got right. I used to live in Lagos, yeah. You'll have like 3 corner shops, yeah, within 1 minute walking distance of each other. All of them, each person, they're different people, mum, aunt, cousin, they're all rotating around these shops, all serving the same community, all fully stocked. You think that there's no business sense for there to be more than one. Money's getting washed, but we don't, it's a mindset. If you look at our community now, you got youths in his bedroom, 10 grand in a shoebox, room full of crap, 65-inch TV on the wall, and then police come, process the crime act, it's gone. You gone to jail, what's happening? Come back out 5 years later, back to square one. Yeah, my man, he's a pillar of the community, driving back to Redbridge with a 3-car garage, and you know, what have you got to show for it? But I'm not trying to say, yeah, this is the best way to do crime, but it speaks, even when you're painting outside the lines, the culture's still there, reinforcing what you do. You're still building your economic base, even when you're doing crime. So, yeah, that's my take on it at the moment. I don't know how that comes across, but yeah, if the culture is not there from the macro, from the person to the couple to the family to the community to the nation, up and down, that's where it needs to be. That's where people's focus needs to be, in my humble opinion.
Nice. That's Brother Ben going in there. That's nice. So you started a good topic there. You know, and I think you started with the word trust, right? In the sense of, and trust in the sense of people not necessarily trusting to invest money in black ideas and stuff like that, right? And this is something I've come across quite a lot when I've gone out to the public and especially Speaker's Corner. You might see me talking to a lot of the brothers and sisters there, and there's 1 or 2 people who say they won't want to join anything where, you know, some black people might be heading the money section or whatever, right? Which I don't know if this was a joke or serious, but I take it serious. Yeah. And then you moved on to like how culture can be a good influence and when you look at like certain kind of religious practices, regardless of what the people might agree with, it keeps people on track to doing a certain task, right? And also you brought up like one of the challenges that religion holds, because obviously people with different religions and working together and this kind of stuff. I'm assuming you're going there. Yeah. So one thing I'm going to say before Brother Dean jumps in, from my perspective, is with Black Betterment, in order to maybe correlate with what you're saying, maybe help what you're saying, I'm trying to definitely promote that Black Betterment is a lifestyle. So the concept of Black people helping Black people on Black issues for betterment whenever it's constructively possible, this is a lifestyle. And the idea is, regardless of from the lifestyle, people will come, like you know, movements and leaders, whatever. But if they were to fall off or do whatever it might be, the lifestyle is still there. And it's really promoting that concept of Black people helping Black people on Black issues. It's a lifestyle. It's something that you do naturally. Now, that's what I'm pushing for as a tangible, like cultural lifestyle idea that we as a community really flush out. And we understand that regardless of whatever religion you're from or non-religion you're from, you can practice Black Betterment, the lifestyle. It doesn't compromise your beliefs or your practices. It actually, you know, heavily informs and all the rest of it, right? So that's my answer there. I don't know if Brother Dean wants to jump in, if he picked anything from what you were saying and wanted to add or take away or add to all the rest of it, Brother Dean.
Absolutely. So, Brother BaNe, first and foremost, I concur. I'm finished. No, I'm playing. Points. that you touched upon are the conversations that I'm having with my peers for the past 3 months. And sometimes when we're having these, I think we as a generation are the silent majority as Black men, because the voices that are out there aren't saying the things that the vast majority of us believe, although we are not a unilateral people. So one of the most important things that you said is that we're obligated to uphold, promote, and preserve our culture. There's a reason we lie in the economic space that we do, because cultural capital is a byproduct of upholding, promoting, and preserving your culture, because you refuse to assimilate, because you create very strong foundations when you do that. So if you went to the most racist Geordies in the country, they'll go to an Indian restaurant on a Saturday night with 10 of their mates and spend £900 to £1,000. And they might use the P word, but when the Jewish piano goes ping at the end of the night, Mr. Patel has won. He is receiving the benefits of his cultural capital, because by upholding, promoting, and preserving his culture has become part of the British mainstay. Whereas where we assimilate is they are marginalized voices, where our cultures become very ghettoized. So when you look at West Indian takeaways, we have a particularly ghettoized framing through our lens of those spaces of miserable women, of spaces that aren't kept to the caliber that we would like them to see them in 2020. But when some other culture comes in, they're going to benefit from the cultural capital, because the first thing is they're going to invest the capital, be insolvent as Europeans or Asians, whoever they are. We just look on the front of Brixton at, what is the restaurant? Turtle
Bay.
Turtle Bay. So someone else has realized the cultural capital from our lack of upholding, promoting, and preserving our culture. Now, I can have a job and be a business owner by investing a share in somebody else's business. Now, if you see someone who has set up a takeaway, can set up two, that means that that business is modular and scalable in economics. So all we need to do is identify a trustworthy accountant that we can agree upon to draw up share options. And as we invest as a community in that viable business, number one, like McDonald's, we can create a plant where the food is centrally cooked and processed. You can have a fleet of vans that deliver out to those takeaways, and then we consume what we produce. But because we're not thinking in this framework of an ecosystem, we negate to take advantage of the cultural capital, which all starts with the education system, as opposed to the British indoctrination system where we send our children. So the indoctrination system teaches us to fear, obey, and comply to stay in the classroom. Now that is modified as we leave school and go into a capitalist system, and it evolves into fear, obey, consume. Now, based on the fear component, because we're consistently fed that we're ethnic minorities, we don't consume, by and large, from us. There's a stigma attached to Black consuming from Black, which is why I love Swiss's movement. So with the Black Pound Day, every time I come across somebody that has a superior idea, thinking about ADPAC as an institution, as an umbrella organization, I say let's adopt, champion, and then promote on a national level so that we can build economies of scale. So when I saw the 4Ds, we don't have to do that. When I see the Black Betterment program, it's a case of incorporating, and that is how we engage with the public. So when we see adult Black dads, we say, where you are gaining traction, that is how we engage with fathers. That is how we frame the narrative of fathers. So we get behind it and we champion it. In being Pan-Africanist, we see everybody as a delivery partner as opposed to competition. We're not vying for attention. We're vying for the upliftment of our people. So once we're aware that we live in a race-based global economy, where if we see it as a racetrack where we're in a relay race, we're not occupying any lane. Now, each of those lanes is unique to a particular ethnicity. Each one of these topics that I'm going to bring up relates to a lap in that race. Economics. No, we don't have a viable economic ecosystem. Education. No, we don't educate our own children. Civil, police, and military. No, we don't defend our own people outside of relying on our traditional adversaries. And then economics, which is a non-starter. We don't have to discuss it. It becomes rhetorical in nature. So I will close out on saying the way that we can start a consistent upholding, promoting, and preserving of our culture is by placing our children mandatorily in rites of passage. Because rites of passage, if we place our children from the age of 7, gives them a strong cultural self-esteem, an understanding of themselves and their position in history, which gives them a great cultural context. And then what they are bombarded with is images of successful people, not on screen, but in purpose, who attend the rites of passage sessions week in, week out. The same way that Yiddishers would have their bar mitzvah, we have rites of passage. And when the rites of passage organizations are finished with those young men, come 1819, Manage, which is the first initiative that AdPac has put out to train a generation of leadership as a cabal of alumni that are capable of setting up corporations and civic-led organizations with their sweat equity based on their experience and intellectual capital. So what Manage does, we've got a 6-week boot camp, which is free to the user, which trains in entrepreneurial and civic leadership in tandem. But we also have martial arts in there and Tai Chi meditation with business acumen, so that it's a fully rounded program and a structured leadership to produce effective leadership who can rely on each other, and an underpinning code where they all operate from.
Okay,
and
nice.
that is alive and active today.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Okay, so Brother BaNe, after you've just hit your topic, is there anything you want to add to that after me and Brother Dean have spoken?
I think that's amazing. That's exactly what needs to happen. You need to get the people in, well, the youth while they're young, and train them up in those ways so that they can, when they've already in that mindset. You're not trying to convert people who've already been turned, because it's harder to, sometimes you talk to people and it's just like, you're lost, brother. You're lost. I don't even know what I could say to even help you out. But but that kind of thing doesn't happen overnight. It's what they're fed. And if we're not in control of the media, if you're children come home from school, they sit in front of the TV and that's all they're watching. All of a sudden you're like, whoa, where did he hear that? What's that concept? And who's Santa? Like, my children don't know who Santa Claus is. Who's that guy? No, daddy works hard to bring money home, and then when it comes time to give things, not that we're a big Christmas household or anything like that, but you have certain things you can't necessarily get away from. But it's, if you have to push it on the children so that they know where they're coming from, where they need to go to it, and they see themselves in excellence and greatness. Otherwise, if they don't see it in others, they can't see it in themselves.
Nice.
It's hard for them to do so, at least.
Right. Now, just so I can explain to the people who are live the format, what we're going to have. Basically, every week to week, what we're trying to do is get two guests to start with a topic they wish to talk about. And then what will happen is they'll bring their topic, we'll get in a freeway, conversation going. And after both people have presented their what they wish to talk about, then we're going to open up to questions. People might be welcome to join in to actually maybe ask questions directly via video, audio, and stuff. So right now, Brother BaNe has just presented his what he would like to talk about. I'm just going around, and now we're going to go over to Brother Dean to take where he wants to go with it. So, Brother Dean, it's up to you where you want to go with it now. Where would you like to go?
Absolutely, sir. So, literally before I came onto this live, I was on the Reach Society live, The Reach Society work with young people in polarizing opportunities, just like my brother Nana from Access UK. But then they hold a huge employment fair. So we've attended this fair for the past few years, and the amount of young people they get down there and the expertise and all of those in the youth engagement space around employment and training is still in isolation. So what our role as me and Nana is, one, to signpost, because there's a huge gap between the so-called education, which, let's just dispel this myth that if you come out with a 2-1, you're educated. You are merely trained to perform a particular task. Education is a lifelong pursuit, and the meaning of education is that you can successfully navigate society. And if you can't do that, you can have a 2-1, be 30 grand in debt, and rather than being a barrister, you're now a barista struggling to pay your rent. So if you don't have the prerequisite social skills, the ability to build a network that can serve you, the alumni that can create doors where they don't exist in institutions so that you can recruit each other, and then the organizations come to represent your mind's eye, you aren't educated. You're merely trained to do a particular job and to perform a particular task. So what I would like for us to do this evening across all of the topics that we're talking about is just dispel all of the myths that we're complicit with as we desire to assimilate into this society, which traditionally hasn't worked for us in 70 years from the Windrush generation landing, which is why it was so simple for the government to kidnap our elders, steal their pensions, deport them, making their bank accounts dormant so that they could also confiscate those funds and then any assets they had here. We should have clarity that it was a bank robbery. And in understanding that, if we understand that so-called COVID-19 legislation is all about protecting their reset, their whole system, the whole empire is failing, like all empires fail at a particular time. Now, it was prophesized that prophecy is coming to fulfillment, and we should be under no misapprehension as to the fact that they are not defending the old system. They are ushering in their new system based on tech and transhumanism. So every time we go along to get along, we're actually betraying humanity, and we should be fully cognizant of that. So if they are establishing a new order, that means we have absolute parity as an ethnicity, not because we have the same assets or the same capital, but we have the same opportunities based on our ability to organize from this day going forward. So first of all, if we don't have our own communication platform, we are lost because we don't have communication security. If we can't draw our grassroots elements together, not because we like each other, not because we agree wholeheartedly, but because we're moving towards a common outcome because we face a common fate, then we failed. Now, I mentioned the Reach Society for a reason, because they had 10 young leaders on there who aren't over 20, aren't out of their their second decade, and they had exceptional accomplishments at that stage of life already. So I saw immediately delivery partners for AdPack. I'm not going to go on too much, but I do want to frame the conversation that we are in a global reset where we have every opportunity to compete and establish our own socioeconomic ecosystem. And I'll also drop in there that we have our own Pan-African cryptocurrency, Sable Ascent coin. So if you went to sableascent.com, that is our currency. And it's not an investment currency. It's for us to utilize in trade, the same as a pound, yen, yuan, dollar, or any other currency that we spend frequently.
You're on mute, Raven.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
There you go. Oh, end of the world. How's it going, guys? Yeah, no. So after that, you're definitely champion controlling our own communications, trying to get our own kind of platforms and that. I mean, Brother BaNe?
No, I didn't say anything. I was listening.
Yeah. So in that regards, how far are we talking? So at the moment now, obviously the world is shifting where people are kind of like having their own channels, right? And these channels are on actual platforms. Is there an initiative or a push to actually potentially create your own platforms? Because as we see before, when people might want to talk about certain things and promote certain kind of ideas, they're limited, and they're the rule set of the people who actually own the platforms. Is that something that is part of Black economics that could contribute, actually trying to own our own platforms? And what's the values in these kind of stuff?
Yeah. So within AdPack, we've got a tech team. My brother, Steve Smith, has facilitated the building of a CRM tool. So we've actually built a tool that is in alpha testing right now that does exactly what Google Docs does, where you can upload documents, edit them concurrently, and have the same communication. Now, this isn't for consumers and lay people. This platform is specifically for grassroots organizations so that we have communication security within AdPack. And then we're using where we've got a completely separate section for the schools to industry pipeline for all youth engagement organizations to work around a framework we've written for the schools to industry pipeline, where we create wraparound care for the African diaspora family. So the European way of looking at it, if there's a breakdown in family, they may send in social services. We send in child parent intervention with an organization like Father Figure, so that you have that communication that's culturally competent, that's looking for a solution to heal the family. Now, if there are any kind of abuse happening, it doesn't take one of our experienced practitioners more than 30 seconds to see it. So it's not to cover it, but it is to protect the entire family if there isn't anything untoward going on other than a breakdown in communication. And we've seen this as necessary where we're moving into an Orwellian state, especially where English people are being asked to inform on their neighbors, because we know that based on the activity in the United States, and we're only 5 years behind them, we're 30 seconds from getting those phone calls where they call the police on us to weaponize police. So the only way for us to counter that is by having independent agency at every single juncture to have joined up conversation so that they create that ecosystem for us, including security, which I can't speak so much on, but just like we've seen Forever Family, there are those who are organizing for grassroots security on the ground and also intelligence behind the scenes, because we require it as a people. If anybody else has it, we require it because we require parity with everyone else. Nice,
yeah. So you mentioned about the crypto, well, not crypto, the coin currency. Is it Sabercool? Am I saying that right? Sabercool.
Yeah, the same coin. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, guys, everything you've mentioned, if you could also pull it in the comments, and links and stuff, so people can always Google it and search it directly while you're speaking, as well as we can also pull it in like the comment section itself once the video gets posted. I
was just gonna say as well, like with regards to what Brother Dean was saying about security, that's also very important, because when you look at movements of the past, like in particular like the Black Panther Party, make no mistake that once you start making moves, your eyes are on you, and they want to know what's going on the inside, what your plans are. And if you're not locked up tight and you don't know who's coming in, who's going out, all of a sudden infiltration from the inside, and that's going to be your downfall. You got everything you say is being reported back to whoever. People think that these things don't happen sometimes, even though the evidence is clear out there. Every movement that's been taken down has been destroyed from within. And a lot of the time, back in the day, people used to get paid to do it, but now, you know what I mean? People that are sheep will come and they'll do it they'll inform on you without even being asked. So what you're doing is a bit scary. This is a bit. What's going on here? So you have to be mindful of those things and those kinds of people. That's why not everyone is ready to take the step in the journey. Some people have to be left behind.
Yes, that is very true. Some people you cannot take you with you. That is very true. I guess no matter whatever you do in life, you're always going to get those who deliberately or by accident sabotage your progress. I think what we want to do as a community is we can't obviously stop all of it, but we definitely want to create situations where there is some kind of bond, understanding of purpose when people engage in stuff. So, you know, this is what I'm trying to do with these concepts of lifestyles and betterment and stuff, where it's like, the payment is the inward feeling and the future knowledge that the challenges that we collectively face now is going to diminish over time. And it starts with effort, with dedication, one of the values. And I think what I'm trying to do as well is try to find ways to connect all the community from different walks of lives to have those conversations and to find that where is it where people are not synchronized? What is happening when you get a certain section of a community that by mistake or by plan seem to be bent on setting the collective back, whether for personal gains or for this for personal gains. That's one thing to deal with, but also just through lack of actual vision or lack of understanding, their actions then send us in the other direction.
I'd love to touch on that very quickly. Look, a lot of it is for limelight, and what we should actually be doing as custodians within the community is looking for the common denominators. So especially, I say that me and Nana from Access were looking at this from the beginning, and the first common denominator that we found was rites of passage, which is why we said that it's an irresistible proposition to place your child somewhere where they're going to come out with a high cultural self-esteem and be exposed to successful people who look like them on a regular basis. One of the caveats to us coming together has always been religion as a divider. And I look on this thing as gnosis as this. And this is how I explain it within our managed leadership program to the young men. Irrespective of whether you are a scientist and you call it the Schumann wave, in that the earth resonates the same frequency as all sentient beings, and that there is a resonance and a thread that connects all life, whether you in spirit call it consciousness, where again we're aware of each other's vibration, or whether in religion you call it God, we're talking about exactly the same thing. So scientists recognize what religious people recognize. They articulate it in very different ways. Irrespective of any of that, we are spiritual beings with souls, and our souls resonate far further than our skin suits. So even down to the conversations that we have with the young men, irrespective of your gnosis, which is nobody's business but your own, like what you do in your bedroom is nobody's business but your own. We want to deal with you and give you clarity that once you understand your spirit, you must abide by universal laws, a law being an absolute. Red means stop, amber means get ready, green means go. Whether we're observing the law of karma, which seems like an intangible, but it's no different to the law of gravity. You can jump off of a 20-story building. Irrespective of your understanding, you're going to make a great omelet at the bottom. So once they understand all of these concepts and have absolute clarity about the esoteric knowledge, and then they're given all of the very tangible ways to infiltrate society at the highest levels successfully, and then work with each other as a cabal, we're making a very real shift, because then what they get to do is go out and infect their peers' minds with the information and clarity of information that they've been given. But it's about finding the common denominator amongst Black people. So outside of that, it ends up being economic. because by and large, we find ourselves broke. So the adoption of a cryptocurrency will protect us. And I just want everybody to be aware of this. I said this was a global reset. Now, for me, this isn't theory, because one of my mentees works for the Bank of England, and he's been working on their cryptocurrency for the past 2 years. Now, knowing that the Bank of England set the rumors that crashed Northern Rock based on the confidence people have in that bank, and the only things that banks fear is a run on the banks. That's the reason that they put the rumors out about cryptocurrencies. So all the cryptocurrencies will go pop or devalue just before they release theirs, like a phoenix from the ashes in their brand new system. So we're not more than 18 months away, maximum, from having that Bank of England pound replacement, which is their cryptocurrency, where you will be tracked from your bed to your bed. But what our cryptocurrency represents is African sovereignty and the freedom of money movement, trade, and to maneuver, because your money goes from wallet to wallet. Number one is blind to the SWIFT system. And as Brother BaNe perfectly identified, and I'm not going to go on too long, I'm going to sum up with this. All communities have been established on criminality. So if you go down to green lanes and you understand those, you can see 10 24-hour greengrocers that used to be there in a row. The import of heroin and the cleaning of heroin money through those businesses was a mainstay. It was a cultural norm. Then when you saw there's a Turkish social club, this is where the dons would be sitting. And then you see the pool hall on Green Lanes, where I was on Thursday evening with one of my brotherhood. You can see the movement of transactions, and you understand the ability to create the wash. Now, the reason they didn't want the crypto system is because we have the autonomy of our own socio-economic ecosystem, where we become the bankers, quite potentially, to those who color outside the lines.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Going in. So when people come onto this video today, right, and we're saying that, how, you know, can economics help the community thrive? If you had to, if someone was watching this video now and you had to tell them one thing to change in their day-to-day life that might improve the community's betterment in the economic department, what advice would you give? What's the one thing they could change just today after watching this video? What could the one thing they could do?
Lifelong education, which contributes to your cognitive problem solving skills. As a businessman for 26 years, problem solving has been at the core of everything I've done. Now, when I just closed my clothes shop about 6 weeks ago, I was on the high street for a decade. It was the end of my 10-year lease. So I would buy and sell goods as people came in. I closed my shop for 12 weeks. My dinner didn't change because more stock that I'd bought to diversify from the clothes, I was selling over that period of 12 weeks. In that 12 weeks, it afforded me the time to have international Zoom calls, to make the team for AdPack more robust. And I didn't have to leave home other than to go to the post office and deliver goods for eBay. So self-reliance is highly important. But if you're not on a continual lifelong journey of education, you will live within that indoctrination of fear, obey, consume, because you were compliant in school. And if we're quiet and good boys and girls, we don't get kicked out of the room. And if we do that in society, which is why black men who think like us are a silent majority, nothing changes. So the only way to change it is a lifelong education and understanding that you should be serving yourself, not anybody else, because there is no job security anymore. They can't guarantee that they're going to have corporations that are solvent in 30 days' time.
Nice. Well, I'm Brother BaNe, if there was one thing that, you know, that they could take, that you would like the community to do that might strengthen the economics, what advice would you give just from this video?
I would say what brother Dean said is an excellent basis to start with and continue. Education is key. The ability to question the information that you receive is absolutely necessary in this day and age. If you're just prepared to accept what you're told, you will forever be following someone else's agenda. So ask questions and, you know what I mean, revolute your mind. That cultural revolution, you have to, it starts from there. It starts, that's where it starts. Without those kind of things, it's not going to move on from there.
Okay, nice. Now, here's what I'm going to do, guys. We're still going to be speaking, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to post the link to this forum in the chat, and people can jump on. And while people decide they want to actually jump in, let me make sure it's in the same thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a small presentation. So every here or so, every time, whenever, I'm always going to try to think of tangible things that I could do to contribute to betterment for the community and stuff. I'm going to try to bring people along with my journey. So let me just start a share screen to show you where I'm at with one concept I'm dealing with. Yeah, where are we? I think it's this one, right? Yeah, share. There we go. So, what is the question? Okay. Black-owned businesses, right? AKA Bob, right? So, how do we know which businesses are owned by a black person, right? Because the reason I thought this question is because I think after the Black Lives Matter kind of stuff that went on with the protests all over the world and stuff, I think some companies obviously jumped on it and said, I think in America, I think it was Uber Eats. They were given, I think, discounts on delivery to black-owned businesses. I think some other companies did maybe some similar kind of stuff, right? So what got me thinking, and then there was other people on social network, non-black people who were promoting black businesses for people to shop out. Okay, so I'm thinking like, okay, what can I do? Or what could we tangibly do to spread awareness about black businesses, if black business is now allowed to be promoted, right? And it's not an issue, people can know about it. So, I was thinking, would a logo, icon, or symbol help? Like, when if you want, so I'm a vegetarian, right? So I have to look at the back to make sure something's vegetarian. Vegans look for vegans, halal, they've got a little icon. So when you look at products, without having to read a whole lot of stuff, it tells you there because you're interested in buying this particular thing. So I was thinking, okay, maybe as a community, we could think about adopting symbol or icon or a logo to identify that, this product or this business or whatever it is, when you look at packaging or something, is owned by a black person, because we're trying to promote that and we're trying to make that aware and motivate people to do the same thing and also support and buy and stuff, right? So then I thought, okay, if I'm going to design a logo icon, what could I actually take inspiration from? Originally, it's like fists and panthers and stuff, which is great. Well, I'm going down the route of trying to use the structural form of melanin as an influence of how can I design a symbol that we could push out there that promotes it as a black business. So the concept that I'm dealing with is taking the black-owned business and formulating it as Bob, and then trying to find a way to take this structural form of melanin and turn it into an icon. And what I'm playing with at the moment is what I'm dealing with. This isn't even working. There we go. Voila. Right. So I've designed this icon here, right? And basically, this is Bob, black-owned business icon. And the motivation behind it is highlighting the BOB, so we can see here. You have your BOB, yeah. And the structure itself is based upon looking at the structure of melanin, right? And then obviously black-owned business. These are something I'm playing with at the moment of a concept to give away free to the community. From time to time, I'm going to upload a website soon. And on the website, I'm hopefully going to be promoting businesses and so forth, but also giving away free stuff like free vector files that can actually help in this kind of stuff. So everything I do will be free. So what I'm hoping one time is to actually have an icon to give to communities that can identify that they can put on their packaging, and it'll have a way of doing it. So a black version, white version, or it could be a one-tone color depending on your package itself. But that's me thinking of a tangible thing of highlighting that this is a black-owned business, and we're going to show solidarity when it comes to spending, and there's a visual, tangible element to identifying this person. And from time to time on social posts, I will also be promoting black businesses and who's the head of it, maybe pictures of the head and stuff. That's changing the narrative of who owns what. So that's just my little my little presentation there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Raven, so.
Yeah. Any questions, knock away in the group? So any questions in the panel, any questions in the forum? I've also posted a link in the forum. If anyone wants to talk directly to Brother Dean or Brother BaNe, we can. Or you can join the link now. I'm going to post it one more time. You're welcome. A lot of people are shy to speak. But if not, you can ask questions in the actual comment section. There might be a 10-second delay or something like that, right? But this is something I'm thinking of. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, number one, that's excellent and something that is universal. And where you've established the image as well as the text. Remember, when we're selling, we sell to everybody and we want our recognition. See, you can remove the black-owned business and you can still have the Bob, which is a universally recognized. Yes. And I understand that with clarity exactly what you've done there. I was putting together something about 3 years ago that was very similar, which was investors in community, where the same businesses, we have, I think we've got about 3 organizations now who raise money for black-owned charities. Now, if these same businesses, when they get their pack, I don't say give anything away free, because nothing is free in life. You see a registration fee, a nominal £20, and you get a pack. That very simple pack would give you all of the stuff for your digital materials to hand off to your designers, but also information that you can give to your accountant, where you can donate what would otherwise be taxable income that you can offset against taxation. Now, with that money that you donate as a black-owned business, and we're creating an ecosystem now, black people know if I go to that business, they contribute to our charities, our charities contribute to our society, and we continue to contribute to those businesses. And it becomes circular in motion. It's that perpetual thing that the battery does. That's how we create an ecosystem. When we give something away, nothing given can be sustained. But you see, as it becomes reciprocal, we're now acting as a community, because it behooves us to take part within a successful societal ecosystem. So when we're looking at it that way, the businesses get consumers going towards them en masse. Our charitable organizations like Access UK and AdPack, who deal with civic programs that benefit the people, will receive donations offsetable against those businesses' taxation. So now we've established an ecosystem that goes both ways, and the people are beneficiaries all the time. A lot of these guys as well will become philanthropists within their own community, because they understand that getting involved with civic leadership and benefiting the people always comes back tenfold. And as you demonstrate that, what happens is those who were hiding in the shadows get more confidence to come forward.
Yes, definitely. Now I'm just with the icon I've seen. Good idea, Raven. An individual sugar plum. Don't like Bob though. Sounds too European. We're gonna have a good point. We're gonna have a actual a show. Well, hopefully, and it could be led by Sugar Plum, where we're talking about naming conventions and how to name things and like, is there a value in also using certain African languages, Swahili, Yoruba and so forth. I know I certainly do when I name most of my projects and stuff. Sometimes you have to go for simplicity. Sometimes there's actually a wave already going, and it's a value in jumping on the wave. But sometimes you're right, literally reinvent the wheel, right? Or just to, I think with European culture, they tend to go to Greek, Latin and stuff, right? So obviously, naturally from African culture, it probably makes sense to go to, either ancient Africa or African-based language, Congo, Niger languages, these kind of things, or even Afro-Asiatic languages, and Nilo-Saharan and that kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely a topic. And by all means, guys, I've posted the link in the forum, and people can click and join if they like. I can't see anyone else join. So right now, this is a free-for-all between BaNe and Dean. If there's no direct questions in the group, we can literally just summarize what we want, and then we can take the show out and go where we want. It's up to us. We're on the hour mark. This show might be an hour and a half. Who knows what it is? But if it's really good, it goes forever, right? But yeah. So I guess, guys, now it's down to where we want to take it. Is there anything, Brother Dean and Brother BaNe wants to go over or add to?
There is one more thing I can add, because I've also got a personal project which I've sort of it's been on the background for a while, but I sort of soft launched it a while ago, and it's to do with Black businesses. So I might have mentioned it before to you, Raven, but it's basically I created a directory which is it's for Black businesses. It's called bblinks.org. It's free to submit your business. It always will be free, and I understand what Brother Dean is saying about things have value. The reason why I sort of created it in the structure in which it was being created, I think it was specifically because of the kind of directory it was. The value of a business directory like that is only as valuable as the amount of information and businesses on it. So because I've seen other directories sort of come and go. They sort of come, you £10, you submit your business for the year, and then sometimes Black people can be a little bit fickle. So at the end of the year, if 100 people are running through the door saying, "Oh, I saw your X, I saw your Y," when it comes time for renewal, they're not going to pay the money, and then automatically they get delisted. So initially, when you set it up, you had the initial hype, you got 1,000 businesses on there. Now, when it comes to year 2, everyone's like, well, I'm not sure how it benefits me. Even as little as £1, people are skeptical about sometimes parting with their money. So I thought, all right, I've got the technical skills to create it. I do my own hosting. I build my own website. So I've, other than spending for certain software, certain plugins, I've removed that part of the cost. So I thought, all right, it's free. It always will be free. There's no levels. There's no premium. Oh, if you pay a little extra now, you can have an image, your logo, or anything like that. It's free. Go there, submit your business, and it's there. As it sort of develops, the monetary aspect of it, or the commercialization is almost in the database itself. So it's okay. Once you've got your 20, 30, 40, 50,000 businesses on there, okay, now we can start to do something more serious. Right, we've got 50,000 businesses on there. Let's run a poll. Let's see. Right, here we go. We've got marketing opportunity. How would you like to market to all these Black businesses all across the country, internationally? Because it's not just limited to the UK. So I figured, all right, build a platform like that. It's free. That by itself, that should sell itself. So I've had a little bit of take. I've not fully promoted it and pushed it out there and done all the Google stuff. My main thing was making it so that it's robust, scalable, so that whether it's 3, 500, 30,000 or 1 million businesses, all I have to do, if I've got to upgrade the server, then boom, that's what has to happen. But by the time I'm running into the problems of I've got too much traffic, I should have found a way to monetize it without having to make people pay, essentially. So it's something that I've got going. bblinks.org. I'll put it in the comments, but I just thought I'll just throw that out there while I'm here.
So so is that currently live? Is that currently live? Is that in base?
And it's had submissions. Funny enough, the only place that I've seen out a couple of times is Mount Melon. I did one sort of presentation to there's a person that I know through work that they do it's like a Black group where they invite people to come and speak. So I came when I was first, because I wanted people to come and use it. So if there was any issues or anything wasn't clear, I could iron out those things before I'm creating the promo and the video and telling everyone go there, and then all of a sudden I realized there's a kink in the chain. So, but it's been tested, it works, it's scalable, and I put a lot of time and effort into the back end of it. The amount of times I've sort of looked at it and then looked at the competition and then wanted to rebuild it from scratch is is unreal. But I feel that I've got it to a place now where it can run independent of me. Obviously, I've got oversight over me because it's for black business. So those are the kind of businesses that I want on there. So there's a bit of due diligence in that respect. But I think it's something that's necessary because even like we have the thing of Black Pound Day and these other things. I saw a lot of messages, and you get a lot of the sort of chain messages like, here's a list of all these black businesses, here's their addresses, and here's their telephone numbers. And sometimes that can be a messy way of doing it. If there's a place where you can go, there's a map, you say, all right, I need this, what's near me, bam, search it, and you can find it. You know that it's a black business, and then you can go and spend your money. So it was just like, for me, sometimes you sort of have ideas and you wait for things to come up. And it's something that I looked at for a long time, and I'd seen things come and go, and I was just like, all right, if you can't see it already there, then just do it for yourself. So I was just like, I've got the skills to do it. I might as well just do it, innit?
Yeah, well, that's good. And the importance of networking, right? And also the promotion of networking. And that's one of the challenges we have to have as a community. Like, there's definitely enough things out there, and we're in the digital age where things can connect us, right? Everyone in close proximity. And I think the question is, how do we get people aware of certain kind of stuff? One thing I would say before I move on, just so you know, guys, one of the values of this being a live stream is if people don't understand things, they can ask questions that they have done in the group. So well done, guys. And also, if you spot any mistakes, because we're working live, you can let us know. I've been told that there was a spelling mistake on one of the things. We've corrected it on live, so let's just make sure. There you go. So if you notice any spelling mistakes on live, on the fly, there you go. So that's the value of being live. The value, family. That's why we like it. Huh?
I just very quickly contribute to what BaNe said. Very important. The date, when you look at the CBI, the government addresses the CBI, and we're having a conversation at the moment about this 350 billion that 12 or 15 years ago, an audit was done on the entire BaMe community, and we've got no clarity about what the British African diaspora businesses contribute to the UK economy. So another thing that it does is it allows you to actually ascertain what those businesses are worth in terms of overall contribution to the GDP, via taxation, what employment they do, because when you have those platforms, you've got the ability to do surveys consistently, which is a huge mapping exercise of the business landscape. And once you've ascertained that, one thing I will tell you for certain is that you've got a delivery partner in AdPack, and I'd introduce you to Yvonne Witter, our Director of Trade and Industry, because then what you start to do, improving what we provide as a people in the country economically for our businesses, we start to become entitled to some of that money from the DTI and Department for Trade and Industry for trade missions. We're organizing one for January. We don't know what the conditions are going to be of COVID-19 moving into 2021. But we are organizing ourselves now to be in a position to create our own trade missions that are international to grow intra-African trade. Now, it's also very interesting that there's no import or export duty between Ghana and Britain. Where Britain has come out of the EU, Ghana's become a new trade partner. So you could set up a manufacturing plant in Ghana, which is a macro economy, export the stuff back to Britain and get exponential markup on it. Plus you're providing sustainable employment in Ghana. So all these things are to be looked at, but you definitely got a delivery partner in that.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Wow. All right, guys. Is this a networking show? Been asked. Oh well. So just so you understand the format, any Black person who wishes to contribute to Betterment is always welcome on the show, and everyone's always welcome. And the idea is at the moment it's a first come first serve basis. So if you'd like to be on the show, give me a message. Tell me what you would like to talk about, because you guys will be the creator of the content, or at least the interest pusher of the content. and then we will get like a three-way talk, and then we always invite people to come on, and that's something we're going to work on. We definitely want to get the community more confidence to jump on and ask questions, but of course you can always ask questions from the actual comment section, and also within the actual comment section when the videos go when they become actually recorded and they're no longer live, you can ask questions in those, and then hopefully we can answer it there, or you can ask questions for a future show and we'll do that. But if you want to be on the show, you want to say you want to talk about anything to do with Betterment. So obviously it might be highlighting challenges that the community goes through, and then we can talk about solutions, and everyone's welcome. So hopefully that answers your questions. Any questions you got, guys, in the comments, or if you're not going to come in, let us know now, because we're past the hour mark now. Right now we haven't actually established how long these shows are meant to be. I'm not too sure, but it really goes on by the energy of what is needed. But if you guys got any questions for the panel, these are very, very, very particular, very it's okay, you're welcome. Very talented brothers we have, and it's not all the time you can get them. So now is, if you've got them, we've got everyone in the same building now. Anything you want to ask from what they've said, or if you got anything that it wasn't too clear on, by all means. Where can I find a rites of passage provider for young people? So Sugar Plum wants to know. Let me put that. Does any? Yeah.
If you go up the chat, I provided 4. So if you're in South London, you've got Origin HQ. They are based in Clapham North. So Landor Road, just before Clapham North Station is Landor Road. Origin HQ, who are 20 years old, are based on Landor Road. You've got Manhood Academy. They're in West London, not too far from Ladbroke Grove Station. You've got MAG, based in East London. And then you've got WYLA in Northwest London. They are at the Academy in Willesden. I forget the name of the academy, but they're there every Saturday morning. Now, all of those 4 teach boys and girls respectively. They're not mixed groups. And all 4 of them also do parenting classes, so that we've got the family cohesion and they're getting the same information. Obviously, the parenting class is not exactly the same information, but they're sharing the values. And what this does is it creates a cohesion so that the work doesn't end up getting undone. It's very important.
Okay, Sugar Plum said thank you for that. Coco Brown is just has asked, why do the youth need the rites of passage? Why do they need it?
Okay. We look at our children in schools now. The further away from our culture that they get, the more bestial they become. I just saw a video today where a young man is standing with a young lady arguing. He just pulls a knife out of his lower back and stabbed her in the side. So I think it's rhetorical as to why we need it. As a culture, we need to uphold, promote, and preserve our culture like everybody else. If you go into Tottenham, you can see that there's an established economy based on people who celebrate culture. If you go into a Chinese area, or if you go into Southall, you'll see exactly the same. They have supplementary schools and rites of passage that give them a cultural context where they are full citizens to their community. Our children aren't necessarily, and this is why we got this massive intergenerational gap, because we're not engaging our children. And there's a huge cultural gap where they've created a counterculture which doesn't share our values. So our children at the moment are largely celebrating a huge criminal culture which can't be virtuous to our community in any way, shape, or form. But when you look at our young men and women who go through rites of passage, they've got a high cultural self-esteem. So irrespective of racism in society, they're fine because they know what underpins their community. And for the 3 or 4 years of rites of passage, they've been introduced to successful men and women who look like them from their own community. So they're aware of an economy that exists and of people who are playing a particular role in society.
Nice. A question has come from the questions coming now, which is good. Rites of passage. This is a question to me. Do you have for girl? What rites of passage do you have for girls? Please. Me personally, I don't know any, to be honest. Say again.
WYLA which is in Northwest, WYLA, which is in Northwest 10, run by Andrew Mohammed. It's for boys and girls, respectively, on a Saturday morning. Origin HQ is for boys and girls, respectively, which is in South London, Landor Road, run by brother Pablo. Manhood Academy and Womanhood Academy, which run on a Saturday morning, which is in West London, run by Sister Peaches and brother Konsu. So, and then MAG, which is run by brother Davis. They all run for boys and girls, and they have parental programs. They started out for boys, respectively, and they've evolved into programs for sisters as well. So they all address both sexes, respectively.
And just so you know as well, all are welcome to come on this show. So there's going to be certain topics that's probably more in the interest of the female community and more in the male community. And by all means, you're always welcome to become a guest to actually speak on those or to start a topic about those. So let's not forget that as well. But thank you, brother Dion, on answering that. Next question from King Carl is, my question was, can we really use non-African people as an example for businesses when they benefit off the restrictions and opportunities laid on Black people instead of using the blueprint of ancient Africans who built their economics on justice and equality? So there was two questions separated in that one, well, two posts. So I guess the question is, can we use Europeans' business? Can we use it? Can we really use it? Use non-African people as examples, I guess, is the like I think for us, where we find ourselves, wherever we think works, we should do. But you've highlighted basing things on justice and equality, and I think when it comes to the interaction of the people groups, I think the African and the Black people group have always been, or from a collective standpoint, about justice and equality. So when we do come together for these kind of betterment issues and economics, that would be our starting point: justice and equality for our community.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Any business that's business plan that works, that you can scale up and be modular. The justice and equality part of it, that's down to the person that's running it. You can run any model, but it's the person behind it and their intention is what separates it from the rest. You can have two businesses on the exact same model with two different people, and you'll have two different outcomes.
Absolutely. Yeah. But even down to the values of the 4 Ds that you've created, it's a framework for us to move forward. So when we're talking about rites of passage, we have a joined up thinking. And when we have an intra-agency approach based on an umbrella that is just connecting everybody, we're sharing information. This is my ethos in amalgamating superior information and superior strategies so that we're not reinventing the wheel. If as Africans we see everybody as a delivery partner, then we know that once we amalgamate that superior thinking into the entity, it can be universally adopted. And then to go on to the question of Europeans, we can adopt their processes that are successful, but we can't really use them as an example, because if we go into the same rooms, we may not receive the same benefits from their peers. So to a degree, it is for optics that we do this, but it's not necessarily functional and tangible.
Okay. Now, I believe there's no more questions on that one. So what I would say now is, I guess, guys, if we could maybe round up our thoughts for today or what we want to end on. And also what I always recommend is when we do this, always have a question or reach out thing, because what I tend to find is you never know who's actually watching these videos. So if there's anything that you wish to know, you wish to network with, or something you're trying to go to, or something you want to promote, in this time, in our outro time now, it would be definitely best to put that up. So, Brother BaNe, would you like to have a conclusion on today or anything before we sign off?
I'll just go back to my first points. Black cultural revolution, question everything, don't accept anything, and stand for something. That's it.
Very quick. we got Miss Zeph Dean. You touched on some interesting points around business and trading within the Black community. Is it possible for you to show a do a show focus on these topics? So what that's I think what's happening now is people are trying to invite you to another show, so that's always good. So if you're free in I think next week might be booked, but anything past that isn't booked. So if you're yeah, so we've got excellent. This is what's good about being live. So the question, interest points around business and trading within the Black community. Okay, so a topic on that. We'll make a note of that one. What I'm going to say as well, before Brother Dean does his outro speech, is I'm always looking for people with particular skills. So if you're watching this video and you specialize in digital design, programming, more so programming, or anything in the digital world, please hook me up. I would definitely like to get a network, a database of all the brothers and sisters in England and around the world, particularly, but in England, especially London. But it doesn't really matter where it is in England because digital, you can connect well, right? Who are specialized in development, programming, UI, motion design, graphic design, app design, product design, this kind of stuff. Because where I'm trying to go with the networking economics is to make platforms and control the platforms that can better serve the community, and won't necessarily limit us when we want to do certain things, but also have full control. So we can have a whole network where even the adverts are controlled by us, and who and how we handle that. But we definitely need the skill set. So I myself am a UI designer, I'm a product designer. But in order for me to progress, I definitely need to be around other developers, big data developers, people who understand more about networks and servers. I know Brother BaNe is actually quite skilled in this as well. So I'm glad to be connected. But yeah, so that's the reach out there. And okay. I think one more question. Rites of passage sounds like a slogan. What does it really mean for girls?
It's where experienced women are teaching young ladies how to come into citizenship based on their demonstration of what they've done. So imagine if I was a woman, successful business owner, who also plays a civic role in my community, and I'm going to rites of passage with young ladies, and they can see this. They can see it. They can question me. Week after week, I'm being presented with people who are successful, where they're also being taught to work as a community. They're being exposed to their history, their culture. They go on team bonding trips where they can come to rely on each other as a cabal. This is what it is. It is to take them. A rites of passage is modern rhetoric. It takes them on a journey from being a child into womanhood, just as it takes them from being a child into manhood. It just happens that we don't have spears and go out and kill lions and come back and wear the pelt anymore. We live in a different type of society, and we're given the skills to navigate within this society, or our young people at least. So it's far modern rhetoric for the men and women who get up at 7 a.m. every Saturday when most of us are in our beds after celebrating the weekend on a Friday night, and take other people's children for no pay whatsoever and contribute to their social upbringing and improving their intellectual capital and experiences.
Okay, nice. I believe that's the questions there. So, Brother Dean, would you like to do an outro before we sign away? Of your thoughts?
Yes, sir.
In outreach.
I had something very succinct before that question. It does frustrate me somewhat when questions come from people who don't necessarily contribute so much, but have a lot to say about those who contribute much. I find it is a factor within our community. And I'll just touch on this very quickly. Civic leadership isn't financially or socially rewarded by the Black community. It's what produces characters like Trevor Phillips and Tony Sewell, who would otherwise be called by ignorant people coons, because white supremacy socially and financially rewards our treachery, because what it does is it endorses racism when they say it isn't so. So it really does irk me when we do sweet FA civically, criticize and say it sounds like rhetoric from their couches, who are the same WhatsApp warriors who then say our children are bestial whilst doing sweet FA about it. That's my rant over. In closing, for us to build a socio-economic ecosystem merely takes for us to recognize those of a similar ilk who demonstrate what they do on a daily basis, embrace them and make them delivery partners. What it will do after a while is create a critical mass who as influencers are saying the same thing day in, day out to the masses. And what you find is it starts to sink into the central consciousness of our people. And our consciousness rises because they can see it demonstrated. And once we do that, our dependency on our traditional adversaries will be able to circumvent by and large. There's one other point that you made, which was brilliant, about building our own platforms. And my brother with HMP TV came to mind, who I'd like to introduce you guys to. When you see that Europeans en masse adopt something very quickly, what the media have is a sheet of paper from a think tank. It's called the line to take. So that will be handed off to all of these media owners, which is why you have broadcast license. So you have to have the permission of a broadcast license. And that was the same for newspapers, because you have the line to take, which they don't go outside of. So when overnight you suddenly hear, this is the new norm, Channel 4, this is the new norm, Channel 5, Sun newspaper, this is the new norm. They've all been given the line to take. When you see that they ask every African and Caribbean leader, are you going to make homosexuality accepted in your country? It's the line to take. We aren't as successful at putting our information across and conveying it correctly because we don't produce as think tanks a line to take. We don't have a media audit of radio, TV, online influencers and print publications that we can propagate with virtuous propaganda for our people. So these are all things to look at for those who are in media ownership, for those who are influencers, to inform the line to take so that we as a people are utilizing exactly the same tactics that Europeans successfully use to be able to communicate a message effectively to the masses.
Thank you. Thank you, Dean. Thank you. What I would say is thank you, Dean and BaNe, for the show. Thank you for being guests. Thank you for the information. It shall live on the internet forever. Next week, we half the slot is booked, so we've potentially got space for one more person. So if anyone wants to bring up a topic, they're welcome to be a guest next week. If it isn't filled, you have to check my inbox to make sure. But I'd like to everyone to say thank you to Dean and Brother BaNe. If you guys could press like before you leave, I'm not sure what that does, but I always have people say it, so I'm sure it does something. But hopefully we can have BaNe and Dean and Dean back soon, sooner than we like. Sooner than we all would like, definitely. See. But for now, we're gonna go and thank everyone. Thank you, brothers. I'm gonna end the broadcast. So thanks a lot. See you, everyone.
Thank you very much. That's it.
And